Hello and welcome to Lydd International Kart Club on the 12th of March 2023. It's round 1 of the Blue Challenge and the first time the Formula Blues have hit the track in anger this year. Everyone is suited up and ready to go. A bit of a flyaway race for most of these drivers, right on the southeast coast of England. Everyone looking to enjoy themselves. Earlier in the day, the Honda Cadet Championship kicked off with defending champion Devon Giles once again taking an unopposed win in class. And Alfie Lenton, suiting up for the Junior Blue class, would take a win on the day as well, both starting their campaigns off well. Heat 1 was won by Tom Parker with Anthony Cleal in second spot, Joey Foster third ahead of Mike Bell with a strong performance from Alex Kemp ending up in the top 5. Harry Smithson sixth ahead of Kevin O'Neill and Rob Mortimer, with Paul Alexander and Nigel Vickery making up the top 10. Newcomer Scott Lay would be 11th ahead of John Hartshorn. Mitch Carpenter moving up from the juniors into 13th ahead of David Waldron and Anthony Lee making up the top 15. Max Gunter, Paul Wheeler, Steve Groves and Ron Schoen would complete the result. In Heat 2 it was Harry Smithson in his bright blue Praga that would take the win. Joey Foster following him home second ahead of Anthony Cleal and Tom Parker. Mike Bell making up the top 5, once again ahead of Alex Kemp. Scott Lay with a strong run up into 7th ahead of Max Gunter. David Waldron 9th and Nigel Vickery making up the top 10, just pipping home John Hartshorn and Rob Mortimer, with Ron Schoen 13th ahead of Paul Wheeler, Anthony Lee, Kevin O'Neill, Mitch Carpenter and Paul Alexander, with Steve Groves with a post-race disqualification dropping him to the back of the pack. In Heat 3 it would be once again a win for Harry Smithson, Tom Parker in second ahead of Anthony Cleal and David Waldron, Scott Lay flying all the way up into the top 5 ahead of Nigel Vickery and Rob Mortimer, Steve Groves 8th ahead of Mitch Carpenter and Max Gunter, John Hartshorn 11th ahead of Kevin O'Neill, with Anthony Lee in 13th ahead of Paul Wheeler, Mike Bell and Alex Kemp both in early, likewise Joe Foster and Paul Alexander, and a non-start for Ron Schoen, not the start to the season he would want.
Hello everyone.
And those 3 results are in the books and will leave the grid for the final. It's Harry Smithson lining up on pole position in the Praga. Alongside him is number 3 Tom Parker in his return. 2 Max on row 2, it's Anthony Cleal ahead of Joey Foster. And on row 3 it's 2 Octanes with newcomer Scott Lay pipping out Mike Bell for 5th and 6th. Nigel Vickery 7th ahead of David Waldron. Alex Kemp starting inside the top 10 alongside Rob Mortimer. And Max Gunter on a loaned cart to him. See there the number 99, the ex-Nigel Vickery Gillard, lining up 11th ahead of John Hartshorn, with Kevin O'Neill 13th alongside Mitch Carpenter. Anthony Lee, Paul Alexander, Paul Wheeler, Steve Groves and Ron Schoen will complete the grid, as there's Tom Parker going around on cold tyres on the way out of the pits. It's a deceptively cold day today in the southeast of England and it's caught Tom Parker out. So he'll have to make his way back up through the pack as Harry Smithson's going to back everyone's pace right off into a 2x2 rolling start. As you can see there's Rob Mortimer and John Hartshorn, Kevin O'Neill getting up to the back of the pack, and there's Parker already slotting his way up through, so it looks to be all good to go. Heading round this long left-hander and into the wind. That might play an effect on this race. The entire back straight's in a headwind, as there's Smithson and Parker on the front row heading down the back straight. Everyone lined up 2x2, bit spread out there at the back, a few people looking to keep their noses clean in the opening bends. And around the final corner, round pit bend, and away we go, and a good start from Smithson's caught them napping, and they're going round again. That was deemed as a false start, so everyone nerves back on the dial. Gonna have to go once again around in formation. That'll maybe give a few people the chance to not get caught out this time by Smithson, because he did seem to have a march on the way down into the first chicane. But either way, they're back nose to tail, heading up round through the second chicane there, and through top bend and down on the run towards the yump. Driver is almost catching air over here every time. You can see there the rise in the terrain, acting as almost a jump, and straight down into a hard right-hander. Very interesting section of circuit to drive, as Smithson and Parker backing things up. Onto the back straight we go once again. Now it's going to start to ramp up the speed a little bit there. You can see some gaps starting to form once again. Ron Schoen at the back looking to keep his nose clean as we head down in towards pit bend. And for the second time of asking, the 2023 season of Formula Blue is underway, and it's a good start. The top four are very even, but they've got a gap on everybody else. And it's Parker swooping around the outside into the lead ahead of Smithson. And it's Foster, Cleo, Lay, Bell, Waldron, Vickery, Mortimer, Kemp, and Gunter side by side there in behind. Through the second chicane, it's still Parker leading, but Harry Smithson right on his bumper. Scott Lay holding off Mike Bell. That's Nigel Vickery further back, pressuring David Waldron. Steve Groves has had a good start. He's gained a couple of places, and now we go onto the back straight. And Joey Foster looking like he's made the jump onto the back of Harry Smithson. He's going to move down to the inside into pit bend, and Foster looks like he's made the move for second, and sure enough he has. Can Smithson fight back? But it's Parker leading at the end of the first lap. From Foster, Smithson, Cleo, Lay, Bell, Waldron, Vickery, Mortimer, Gunter, Kemp, Carpenter ahead of Paul Alexander, John Hartshorn in behind, and it's still nose to tail at the back. But up towards top bend, top three, bumper to bumper stuff. Parker, Foster, and Harry Smithson in the Praga. Further back there, that's Max Gunter in the Gillard pressuring Rob Mortimer in the all-white Mac Minarelli. And onto the back straight we go. Joey Foster looks like he's got the run, and he's tucked into the slipstream. He's going to go down the inside in pit bend, and Foster's going to take the lead. The Two Counties Kart Club champion from last year takes the lead of the Blue Challenge Round 1. Further back, that's Alex Kemp getting past Max Gunter. And they're in behind Rob Mortimer. Nigel Vickery starting to try and break away from this group, but Gunter gets it. Good exit, gets back past Alex Kemp. So positions changing in the mid-pack. Bumper to bumper stuff still for the lead, as that is Anthony Cleal making his way into the frame, and Harry Smithson going down the inside over the yump. Takes second place back against Tom Parker, and it's Foster leading. Can he break away? Scott Lay trying to go with them, so too Bell and Waldron. Bit of a gap forming there ahead of Nigel Vickery, and it's top four as one round pit bend. Parker running very wide. That's going to give Cleo a chance to get right onto his bumper. Lay and Bell going with them as well. David Waldron with a good run so far. There's Paul Alexander on the tail of Mitch Carpenter. Kevin O'Neill holding off Steve Groves, and Anthony Lee further back. And another good exit from Max Gunter is going to pull him up alongside Rob Mortimer. Alex Kemp was in there as well, so we're going to have to see how they shake up. They're still side by side between Kemp and Gunter. And that's Paul Wheeler looking like slotting past Anthony Lee further back. But for the lead, Harry Smithson takes the lead again against Joey Foster. So Smithson back into the lead of the race as we head down the back straight in towards pit bend. It's Smithson leading from Foster, Parker, Cleo, Lay and Bell is the top six as they head across the line. Further back there, that's Rob Mortimer holding off Max Gunter. Mitch Carpenter closing in on Alex Kemp and taking Paul Alexander with him. But it's Harry Smithson in the Praga leading from the Mac Minarelli of Foster, the Tony Kart of Parker, a second Mac of Cleo, then the two Octanes of Scott Lay and Mike Bell. Then it's Waldron in the all yellow. And further back there, that's Max Gunter giving Rob Mortimer a bit of a hurry up. Alex Kemp has closed in on him as a result. Mitch Carpenter, the junior graduate from last year, he's fighting well, and he's got Paul Alexander on his tail. As onto the back straight we go, Alex Kemp looking for a run against Rob Mortimer. Further back there, that's Steve Groves and Paul Wheeler in battle as we head round pit bend. And across the line to start another lap, there's John Hartshorn with the blue bumper. And then again, another good exit from Max Gunter, and it looks like 5-1 going up towards the second chicane. Steve Groves still holding off Paul Wheeler. And at the second chicane there's Mortimer still holding off Max Gunter. Alex Kemp in behind, but Mitch Carpenter and Paul Alexander getting ever closer. These five are going to be an interesting watch for the rest of the race. But back to pit bend, it's Harry Smithson starting to build a bit of a gap to Joey Foster. So Smithson's starting to check out in the lead of the race. Former marshal at this circuit, so has plenty of knowledge to fall back on, as that is Max Gunter sweeping by Rob Mortimer, and in the background there, that's a spin for Paul Wheeler, and he's going to drop to the back of the pack in behind Ron Schoen. He's going to get going, but Alex Kemp now attacking Rob Mortimer up the inside, it looked like. Tom Parker all over the back of Joey Foster, and sure enough Alex Kemp has got ahead of Rob Mortimer. As now down onto the back straight goes the battle for second. Mike Bell starting to get a bit distanced, but into pit bend, Tom Parker down the inside, but Joey Foster switched back underneath, and they're side by side across the line. Anthony Cleo looking to get stuck in here, but it's Foster holding on to second spot ahead of Parker. Cleo and Scott Lay has closed that gap right down. And all of this battling is allowing Harry Smithson to check out in the lead of the race. Scott Lay well and truly on the back of Anthony Cleal now as they head round Top Bend. Tom Parker under a lot of pressure from the defending Blue Challenge champion. In behind there, that's Nigel Vickery with Max Gunter closing in on him. Of course, Gunter having that kart loaned to him by Vickery after his was destroyed in a fire over the winter, so it's going to be like seeing a ghost for Vickery, and it looks like Max Gunter got down the inside there. We'll have to see as they come into shot. Yep, sure enough, Max Gunter ahead of Nigel Vickery. Alex Kemp keeping up the chase behind, then it's Mortimer. And Mitch Carpenter going for the inside from a long way back. Good move from Carpenter, but Mortimer's going to hold on round the outside across the line. And into the first chicane, Rob Mortimer hangs on around the outside of turn 1. That's Paul Alexander looking to get involved, going over the curb on exit. John Hartshorn in behind, Kevin O'Neill and Steve Grove still battling away, but up to the battle for second, it's still Foster, Parker, Cleal and Lay as they head onto the back straight. Rob Mortimer there holding off Mitch Carpenter. Kevin O'Neill's caught John Hartshorn, but here comes Steve Groves down the inside over the yump. And in the distance there you can see they're still trying to sort it out. Kevin O'Neill holds on for the time being against Steve Groves. That's Anthony Lee shadowing them all the way. But back to the lead, it's Smithson still opening that gap up ahead of Foster. Parker, Cleal looking like he thought he was going to go for the inside there. Further back there's Nigel Vickery and Alex Kemp in battle as they head into the second chicane. They go Mortimer, Carpenter and Alexander. And Alex Kemp with a switchback against Nigel Vickery into Top Bend. We're going to have to see how that pans out when they come back into shot. But further back, Steve Groves lining up a move on Kevin O'Neill, and he's down the inside. The number 4, the Cosmic, making up a place against Kevin O'Neill. His next target is John Hartshorn. But for the lead of the race, Harry Smithson pulling away. Then it's Foster, Parker, Cleal, Lay and Mike Bell starting to try and get back into this fight for second spot as they head up towards Top Bend. Anthony Cleal's got a switch back against Parker though, and Cleal down the inside for third. Kart number 1 passing kart number 3, but they're not over yet as Parker looking to fight back over the yump. Nothing doing there though as they head down towards the back straight. Further back, Hartshorn leading the battle with O'Neill and Groves and Tony Lee in it. And Mitch Carpenter still looking down the inside of Rob Mortimer. Mortimer holding off once again. It's Harry Smithson starting another lap in the battle for second, and it's Anthony Cleal going around. Anthony Cleal spins out of third position. He's going to get it back going again. He's going to be in 6th. They top 6 having a pretty big gap, but now that's going to leave Scott Lay open for a shot at the podium. He's right on the back bumper of Tom Parker and already looking fighty. And Mitch Carpenter meanwhile has gotten past Rob Mortimer, and now Paul Alexander looking to go down the inside as well into the second chicane, and that's a problem for Hartshorn. And he's freewheeling it behind the barrier. Ron Schoen and Paul Wheeler are going to go through, and Hartshorn unfortunately having a issue. And there's Harry Smithson through the first chicane in the lead of the race. He's catching up to put a lap on Ron Schoen and Paul Wheeler. In behind though, Joey Foster starting to break away in second, and is Lay and Parker battling for third. Bell in 5th. There's Cleal on his own in 6th. Round through the second chicane goes that battle for third position. Tom Parker holding off Scott Lay. In behind there's Mitch Carpenter, Paul Alexander and Rob Mortimer. Further back though, Steve Groves now holding off Kevin O'Neill and Anthony Lee hot on their heels in the Mad Croc. There's Ron Schoen holding off Paul Wheeler as Harry Smithson in behind has taken the last lap board, so 1 lap to go for Harry Smithson. Joey Foster in second looking cool and collected, then it's Tom Parker battling away in behind. There's Smithson putting a lap on the battling duo of Paul Wheeler and Ron Schoen. They're going to duke it out for the rest of the race. There's Max Gunter in the Gillard. Alex Kemp and Nigel Vickery are hot on his heels, and that's a good sign. John Hartshorn's fixed his problem. He's going to rejoin the race. Through goes Mitch Carpenter, through goes Paul Alexander, Rob Mortimer likewise. But onto the back straight, the battle for third is on. Tom Parker having to go defensive, but across the line to take the win of round 1 of the Blue Challenge, it's Harry Smithson. Joey Foster is going to hold on for second. Tom Parker just going to pip Scott Lay for third and fourth. Mike Bell finishing in behind, but there's still plenty of racing to be done as onto the back straight goes Alex Kemp and Nigel Vickery. Across the line goes David Waldron in the foreground. That's Mitch Carpenter ahead of Paul Alexander in the background down the back straight. Rob Mortimer in there as well, and then further back that's Steve Groves and Kevin O'Neill going to the inside, so all action in the final corner. John Hartshorn in there as well, and Anthony Lee hanging it round the outside. It's going to be a sprint for the line. Who's going to take it? Not sure, but Anthony Lee has spun it off after the finish. Bit of a remnant of a NASCAR incident, that one. He's going to get that back the right direction. Hopefully no damage, and he's going to be touring it back to the pit lane. What a race that was to kick off the year, and it was going to be Harry Smithson in the Praga taking the victory. Joe Foster 4 seconds back in second position. Tom Parker just about holding off the charge of Scott Lay at the end, and Mike Bell running at the top 5. Anthony Cleal spins down into 6th ahead of David Waldron, with Max Gunter running up into 8th ahead of Nigel Vickery, and Mitch Carpenter running at the top 10. Alex Kemp would be demoted to 11th for a 5-second drop nose ahead of Paul Alexander, with Rob Mortimer 13th ahead of Steve Groves. Anthony Lee just pipping Kevin O'Neill by 7 thousandths of a second for 15th. Ron Schoen would nip ahead of Paul Wheeler, and then John Hartshorn rounding out the finishers. What that'll do to the championship standings, very early doors, but Harry Smithson leads the way ahead of Tom Parker. Joey Foster in 3rd ahead of Scott Lay and Anthony Cleal. Mike Bell is 6th ahead of David Waldron, Nigel Vickery, Max Gunter and Alex Kemp running at the top 10. Rob Mortimer 11th ahead of Mitch Carpenter, Paul Alexander, Kevin O'Neill and Anthony Lee would make up the top 15. But still, everything to play for at this early stage of the season. There is a drop score in effect, so we will only see how people really line up after the second round. In the Blue Masters, it's a tie on the day between Joey Foster and Anthony Cleal at the top of the table. David Waldron pips Nigel Vickery into 3rd ahead of Alex Kemp. Rob Mortimer is 6th ahead of Paul Alexander, Anthony Lee, Kevin O'Neill and Steve Groves running at the top 10. In the Blue Veteran standings, it's a win on the day for Anthony Cleal. David Waldron 2nd ahead of Nigel Vickery once again. Rob Mortimer 4th ahead of Paul Alexander to complete the top 5. Kevin O'Neill 6th ahead of Steve Groves and John Hartshorn, with Paul Wheeler and Ron Schoen making up the top 10 in the class. In the Blue Legends standings up next, it'll be a win on the day for Kevin O'Neill. John Hartshorn behind in 2nd ahead of Ron Schoen, but still plenty of people yet to start their season in the Legends class. And in the Blue Top Weights, it's a win on the day for Tom Parker, leading home David Waldron, Rob Mortimer and Ron Schoen to complete the top 4. And that will be all for today from Lydd International Kart Club. Join us again in a couple of weeks when the Formula Blues hit the track at more familiar territory, Mansell Raceway, for the second round of the 2023 Blue Challenge. We will see you then. Goodbye. Thanks, mate.